Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen. I am your host for the next hour. And I just want to say once again, thank you for making Straight Talk your number one show that you love to listen to be informed, empowered, inspired, and encouraged. We are here today with a wonderful couple. We have the Stanleys with us, Mr. Ronald and Anisha Stanley, and they're going to share with me in just a short second with us an amazing story, a testament of overcoming, perseverance, empowerment, enlightenment, and then we're going to talk a little bit about keys of hope. And I know many of you out there are going through all types of things, and it's important for you to find inspiration and just the motivation to continue on. Hopefully, after we have the conversation with them, you will be inspired. I need you, for those of you who are in social media land, to like, tag, and share this conversation. Get your friends involved. Anyone who has dealt with loss in their life, I want you to get them involved, because we're going to talk about how we can overcome, how there is light on the other side of these dark clouds, and really a silver lining. But before we get to that, you know how we do. Welcome to the social media stream. First in there, Rose Davis and Carla Mathis. We're going to get this going. We're going to get the show started. Make sure that you guys are inviting your family, your mama, your brother, your sister, your play cousins, everybody up and down the street. All right. All right. But you know how we do. We talk about what's on my mind. I need to get this off real quick. Rob, I've been dealing with this, and I forgot to give a shout out to my main man, the Rob Father. Rob, how could I ever forget you?
Oh, that's okay. I'm just
in that fuchsia polo over there, rocking it out. But Rob, so good to have you. We haven't had an opportunity to talk, but the thing that's been boiling, I told my mother this, the thing that's been boiling my chicken. She said, I ain't never heard that one before. I don't know. It was something that came out of my mouth. But is this whole situation with Brett Favre and his $5 million welfare scheme. Now, y'all know, come on, let's be real. Y'all know the system, and those who work the systems, you know, I give you $200, $400, you get $100 for $50. Yeah. All of that stuff. If y'all don't know that, y'all ain't in the hood, okay? But if you've been on the block for a minute, you know what I'm talking about, right? Yes. I don't do it, but I ain't gonna say that I don't know who has. All right. But that's the schemes, and people are going to jail for all types of things. But the thing that really gets me going on this particular situation is here you have one of the greatest quarterbacks around.
A millionaire too.
Super Bowl champ, $100 million. He has 100 million reasons why he should not be caught up in this type of scheme. Now is a party to a $5 million scheme. This entire thing, though, with other celebrities that were involved with this, I think the total number was somewhere like $22 million of monies that were meant for the poorest people in our country, because Texas, without its state laws, does not provide a lot of the services that other states have. Right. And because they are also a border state, it tends to be one of the poorest states in the nation. But anyways, we see, or the state with the greatest disparity between rich and poor. But we see $5 million. And this is the crazy thing. His daughter is probably playing on a fake scholarship at Mississippi Southern. As all of these, we've seen these athletes and celebrities have been getting in trouble for. Right. And so he probably promised that they were going to get a new volleyball stadium if he allowed their daughter. You know how this stuff goes. This is allegedly, I'm going to say, because I'm sure he's listening to this show and we're not trying to catch a case. But anyways, so all of this happens. But the thing that gets me about this, Rob, is the fact that this is a perfect example of why communities of color, Black folks, this is why we have issues when it comes to politicians and civic and entitled individuals, and those people who are mayors and governors of our cities and communities, because there are often dollars that come into our community that disappear. Mm-hmm. We know this, and this is a perfect example. They think, why don't they trust us? Why don't they just think that we're going to do what's best for us? And if y'all want to jump in, I have my guests in the studio. They sit here looking like, we're going to let you take all the heat on this one, bro. But this is why we struggle to believe in these entities. This is why we don't trust when dollars come in, because these guys got caught, but this ain't the first time something like this happens.
No.
So dollars come in for the purpose of those who are least fortunate, but this is probably the most blatant case of what I consider white privilege. Not only do you have $100 million, you could have donated $5 million, but because this is for poor folks, you don't think that they deserve it. So you would rather have your child be educated than kids who are poor being able to eat. It is disgraceful. It is disdainful. And I pray to God that as they continue this investigation, that they find exactly what they need. Text messages showing up that even the governor is involved with this stuff. Absolutely ridiculous. So when we talk about these situations, this is why we come to conversations about this ARPA funds. ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act. We've been talking about this, seems like for 3 years now, but it's only been
2 years.
2 years. But these once in a lifetime funds are coming in. Really, and the purpose of these funds were really targeted toward helping individuals who were most affected by the COVID pandemic. And so we see these funds come in. They start off at 52. Now they're at 26 because the city says that this is the amount of loss. And we can't really argue with it because when you get to the math is going to favor them because these are federal dollars. Right. But now we got $26 million that are out there on the table. And of those dollars, how many of those dollars are going to be going to communities that they're targeted for, instead of another grab of money for other infrastructure and things that are not really targeting the people in the community? And this is why people struggle to trust. And so I had to get on my soapbox for 5 minutes on that. I want to remind you guys that on Tuesday, September 27th, now I have spoken with the city manager, Tim Morales.
That's next week.
Yeah, absolutely. This is next week. He spoke with me. He gave me a call. I told you all we were going to talk. We talked at length this past week. And he said, hey, any community organizations that are interested in meeting with him and the city manager and the individuals concerning the master plan, he would be willing to schedule those meetings, those one-on-ones or group meetings or however that is. So contact the city manager's office and you can get that done. I know that then I got this crazy email, and I'm still trying to figure out what this email is from Saginaw Future about the city master plan. I'm not sure why Miss Cassidy contacted me from the Saginaw Future concerning the city's master's plan to set up a meeting. Master plan, absolutely. Master. It's not the master's plan. Well, it might be the master's plan, but not my master's plan. Right, but there's a meeting that's going to take place. And so that meeting, I think we're scheduled for next Thursday.
Then again, it might be the master's plan.
No, it's not my master's. From 8:30 to 9:30 Thursday. And so I'm interested in seeing what that is about. Once again, Saginaw City Council. Man, this is ridiculous. Michael Flores. And he's been in the studio. You know, he's the guy that came in and he came out the bushes when the sun was going down. There was a car that was parked in the driveway. He was upset because of some things that I said.
He waited for you.
He waited for me after the show. My mama told me it was going to happen because I keep talking all this trash.
What's going on out there?
Yeah, so I'm, he's coming out the woods with a hood on, and I'm sitting there like, dude, if you ever step to me like this again, I'm gonna punch you in your throat.
I had you back, man.
Straight, you know what I'm saying, Rob?
I was looking at our guest host when they leave. Before I leave, make sure they're okay to get in the car and to go away. And I said, why is he still here? And I saw you guys having a conversation and whatnot, but I was concerned,
Yeah, I mean, like, what normal?
That's just our mentality.
It was different. The sun is going down. I'm leaving up out of here. And at that time, the sun was going down earlier. It does.
Call me, please.
Call me. Let me know what's up. But he didn't have my number, and probably won't get it. But that's a whole other story. But anyways, so he's in the headlines again. This time, he and a city resident. This is so sad. Walter Curley. I guess he cut through his backyard or something. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. Walter, if you out there, give me a call so we can get your side of the story. We've seen what's been in the paper. We've seen the press release. Walter Curley said he came through. He was trying to get into his house, had his hands on his door, pushed him to the street. And Mr. Curley's getting in trouble because he moved from private property, which is his own property. And when he, I guess, hit them allegedly with the baseball bat, in the leg, he was on, I guess, city property. This is ridiculous. Our city councilmen and women should not be a party to this kind of foolishness. But somebody voted him in. So whoever voted him in, y'all sit your boy down and have a conversation with him. He is not a bad guy. I just think that he just needs some direction. But I don't know what's going on. But I'm going to keep you a party to what's going on with this situation. Yvonne Daniels, she's out there. She said, bro, you can have people pulling up. Come on. You know, I always tell people, come in, we can always have a conversation.
Everyone listens to this show, including Michael. He listens to this show.
Hey man, I have a bodyguard in the studio with me on today, Mr. Ron. Ron's like, don't put me in this.
No, you got a military veteran.
And a military veteran. Y'all pull up if you want to. Michael Thompson, thank you for your comment. I'm going to post this so that everyone can read. He said before the $5 million, Favre had forgotten away with sending photos of his junk out to women. Yeah, we know that. Very similar to Anthony Weiner, and he's keep getting endorsements like why is it? Because he's white privileged. He's a white man, and so there's certain things that white America can do that, you know, they'll shut us down if we do that. Shout out to Jackie Wade Day. We're going to keep this thing rolling because I want to get us to the conversation that we're going to have today, and y'all know I'll get on one in a minute. But I want to make sure that you all are aware. On tomorrow, Monday, there's something called Listen to the Music that's taking place on the grounds of the Montague Inn. I almost forgot where it was. The Montague Inn. It is a partnership that's taking place with the Mexican American Council and the Montague Inn. Two bands. One of the bands was like had a number one song at one time, but it's an opportunity to come out for some fellowship, some healing. We've been locked up for so long, and so I talked with Bobby DeLeon. He said this is about bringing the community together. The admission is a love gift. Whatever gift you have, it's going to go to benefit the Mexican American Council. Great opportunity, great venue, beautiful backdrop. Get out there and listen to the music. And last but not least, this is the last thing that's been on my mind. I've been watching, and those of you who are part of social media, there has been something that's been taking place largely on Facebook. We had this brother, Don Bivens, who he was in the house. We did a studio an interview with him maybe a week or two ago, Rob, about the concert that he's bringing in with, I can't remember all of the people that are going to be here, but the Andrea Johnson was kind of, to me, the headliner, the one that's supposed to know. But there's a couple quartet groups in there that are absolutely dynamite. What has been so amazing that I've seen is that he has been having individuals call in. They follow the lead. They've been buying tickets, and they've been donating these tickets to individuals who they believe that they wanted to bless. He went to not to a nursing home, but a homeless shelter, and people had donated tickets to the homeless shelter. I would love it. Listen to me, my beloved people. If we could on that day, not only get them a ticket, but wouldn't it be amazing if we had a beautician or a barber or somebody out there that could bring them in, give them a special day, cut their hair. We find some clothes. Let's put the clothes on them.
Or those portable showers I've been hearing about.
Whatever it is, you know, and let's give them a day where they can be ministered to with some good food, both naturally, and then send them to this concert and allow them to have an amazing experience spiritually and get some spiritual food. This would be absolutely amazing. But Don Bivens, I want you to know that concert is going down on, I believe it's the 24th at Victorious Believers Ministries. Make sure that you get your tickets. You can get them, I believe he said, on Eventbrite or at Victorious Believers Ministries on certain days. Or you can check out his Facebook page. It's on there. This is going to be great. I've been talking to Miss Jackie Wade Day down in Lansing. She makes all great things happen. She stayed in contact with him. They have been working feverishly. There's a contingency of folks coming from Lansing, and they donated tickets as well. This is going to be amazing. I love to see things like this happen because this is when we are best, when we are community. So Don Bivens, keep your head up, keep it going, keep it making happening, all that great stuff. I love you guys. Rob, we're going to take our commercial break now. And when we come back, I want to have this conversation. We're going to get into this with the Stanleys on today. We're going to talk about a story, a topic that every woman, man, couple out there can relate to. So get your mama and everybody on tune. Let's get in here and have this conversation. We'll be back after this commercial break with more Straight Talk.
You're listening to Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on Kiss 107.1.
Culver's have only started in Wisconsin. Just ask our team member Sarah.
You go by Ron or
order a Culver's burger. You're never just a customer.
Okay.
You're a guest in our home.
Okay.
See, where we come from, people do right by each other.
I was going to ask you if y'all could hear. I didn't know Ryan had the plan in
Just
here.
for you, right down to getting the perfect sear on the beef. that extra care may be a small town thing, but it's big time important to us.
Come on in and let us serve you with a smile that stretches from our hometown to yours. Welcome to Delicious. Another reason Culver's could have only started in Wisconsin, from our team member Nick.
Oh, yeah, that's an easy one. Wisconsin is the dairy state, so
Yeah.
naturally, Culver's was inspired by everyone's
So
favorite
straight 45 minutes.
dish, frozen custard. We make our fresh frozen custard in small batches in every Culver's, and the farm fresh dairy is why it's so decadent. It's match or
Yeah.
match.
It was heavy.
Come have a taste of Wisconsin. Welcome to Delicious.
Like bones, your teeth lose density and become weaker over time, which can lead to tooth decay. And that can make your visit to the dentist feel like this. But if you want your dental visit to feel like this, try Crest Densify. Crest Densify actively rebuilds tooth density to extend the life of teeth by remineralizing enamel. Densify from Crest, the #1 toothpaste brand in America. Smile. Crest.
We're gonna do this. So you know it's called.
That's fine, thank you.
Station, anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music,
Just do like this.
sports,
All right.
and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on Kiss 107.1.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're back with another edition of Straight Talk. We are back. We're here in studio. We're here in studio. Thank you very much, Rose Davis. You talk about gotta pay the bills. I love the commercials. Well, we thank you that you're tuning in on a regular basis. We certainly thank you. And we're here in the studio with Ron and Anisha Stanley. Good evening and welcome to Straight Talk.
Good evening. Thank you.
Don't be so shy. Y'all getting a little closer. Ron, how tall are you?
6'2".
Ron is 6'2" and looks like he can pick up a bus at any moment he feels like it. That's why I said he's my bodyguard. I'm at the enlisted services. And he comes in here. He's a big guy, but he speaks very softly.
I do.
You do. Regularly. Well, welcome to Straight Talk. And we brought you guys in today because I think that the conversation that we're going to have today is one that impacts and affects so many individuals. Now, for those of you who are listening, and we are going to take some calls. If people have some calls, Rob is going to field calls as best as possible. Notice that if you call in this station, please don't be talking crazy. And let it be about today's conversation. We're not talking about ARPA. We're not talking about Tom Brady or Brett Favre. We're going to be talking about the issue today. And this issue is really about miscarriaging and family planning and what happens when life doesn't go the way that you have designed. So why don't you start? I'll allow you guys to start, whoever would like to begin, just kind of sharing a little bit about where you're from, who you guys are. Everybody may not know you, but I'm sure that a number of people out there are listening. So tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah, so I'm Ron. I'm here today with my wife, Anisha. We were both born and raised here in Saginaw area. Attended Saginaw High, and from there, we went on to attend Michigan State University. Go green, go white.
Go green. Ron. I'm not sure if we should be, if the flag should be half mast after what took place on Saturday.
Well,
the atrocities.
Yeah,
we did come back. So 11-point loss versus a 30-point loss is a little bit better. But Ron, I need you to slow down because you are from the city of Saginaw. Both of you guys attended Saginaw High?
Yes.
Okay, so both of you guys attended Saginaw High. This is where you met. Tell that story, first of all.
Well, we're high school sweethearts, We met at Saginaw High. I was just a year older than her. So she was still in school when I left to go off to college. But my senior year was really when we connected and we kind of got together. We was just still friends.
Okay.
So all throughout that time while I was in college, we stayed connected, stayed in touch. And then over the years, the relationship just kind of grew stronger. So
you knew from meeting her, and this is a story of what Anita Baker says, sweet love. You knew it was love at first sight. As you were a senior and you were getting ready to leave off, you said, "I got to figure out how I'm going to lock this one in." And so you went to Michigan State. Come on, I'm gonna help you out with your story, man. So you went to Michigan State. You went to Michigan State not just to go, but you were actually an athlete.
Yeah. I was an athlete. I was actually 4-year starter, football player. Started there 4 years. Was a 2-time captain. So like I knew Anisha. She was just different from all the other females that I had.
What made it different, Ron? Come on, because there's women out there trying to figure out how they gonna get them a baller, man. You gotta let them know what was different about her.
It was just the way she carried herself. She didn't put herself out there like she was trying to bring herself attention. She was pretty, she was respectful, and she knew what she had going for herself, but she wasn't advertising it.
Okay.
So when we had the opportunity, just to talk and just to get together, I knew. And that's what I seen was different about her because, like I said, all the other girls, they were just like, on full blast, trying to advertise themselves and things like that.
Sir Mix-a-Lot said put them on the glass back in the day. Okay, that's they just full this. We ain't holding nothing back. But she left a little mystery. Okay, so you guys now where did you go to school at, Anisha?
Second high.
So you went to second high. Then what did you do after that?
After that, I stayed home for 2 years. I went to Delta.
Okay.
And then I transferred to Michigan State.
Oh, so you green and white all around this room, yeah. All right. So you guys are you still there at this time now, Ron? At Michigan State, you guys?
I know when she got there, I just had graduated.
Okay.
So there was like a 2-year separation there.
Okay, 2-year separation.
Yeah.
But you guys are still together?
Yes.
Michigan State University. We got the Spartan alum pride that's going on up in here. What happens? How does your relationship continue, or where do you guys take your relationship?
Well, we actually, when I was in college my first 2 years, that's when we actually decided to kind of make it official.
Okay.
October 3rd, 2000.
Man, you good, bro. I was like, why is he going for the year? Just October 3rd, 2001.
So it was my senior year.
Okay.
My senior year. But even when we did that, it was still more like on a friendship level. But like I said, throughout the college years, we kind of stayed in touch. And we just, like I said, it was just something special there that we both felt that we just kind of needed to keep it going. It kind of really got serious like when I graduated from college.
Okay, because you're leaving now and you're getting ready to start your professional football career.
Yes.
All right, so Anisha, I want to transition to you a little bit because I want to hear some of the things from your side. You guys decide to make this thing official. Okay, this is the one. This is my life partner. Let's lock this thing down. And from my conversation with you, you said that you had been starting to talk about, what you wanted, what you expected. And the first thing that you wanted was to handle first things first and get married.
Yeah.
Okay. So share your story.
Yeah. So when he was transitioning into his professional career, I still had 2 years left at Michigan State, and we actually got engaged that Christmas, but I knew that I wanted to finish college first.
Okay.
And we both knew that, he wanted to get established in his career, then we'll figure out where we'll go from there. But we also knew that there were some things we wanted to do before starting a family, after getting married, because we have been long distance for our entire relationship. We just wanted to enjoy each other and travel and have fun and learn one another, and then establish, ourselves financially, purchase our home, and just have those things together, have some stability.
Okay, so by what we would consider the standards of how parents, mom and dad, would want relationships to go, you guys met in high school sweethearts, you courted that courting period, decided to get married. You are now married, husband and wife. Your man is out making the money, playing football. You are now college graduated, both of you. Share with me, when did someone said great plan out there. Thank you, Rose Davis. Tell me what happens now. You guys have gotten to the stage, you've enjoyed each other, and now you start this process of family planning. What was the goal initially?
Well, we had, always talked about, how we want our family to look, whether that be.
What did that look like?
For us, it was 3 to 4 children.
Okay.
We always wanted like 2 boys, 2 girls, or just a mix, a nice mix. You know,
Yeah.
of course you can't pick,
Right.
but you know that's what we was praying for, a nice mix of gender, but definitely 3 to 4 children. And so we started working on that. And our first time around, that
6 years into it.
yeah, we were 6 years into our relationship, our marriage.
Married 6 years. Now you guys are having kids.
Yep.
What happens?
Our first attempt, it took us a while. It took us about it was a little bit longer because we said that we was going to start like in the fall, so it was like around October.
Okay.
You know,
like contraceptives.
yeah, we took off.
Okay. Let's talk about that because you know that would be my question. Like, okay, you guys are young, you're virile, you're married now, so there was a plan to not have children during this period of time when you guys were enjoying each other. So contraception was a part of that plan, right?
Yes.
Okay, so as you were saying, Anisha, you took some time away from it because it gets into your system, right?
Yeah, I just wanted my body to be able to properly expel, you know, all the different hormones and just allow my body to reset back to default.
Okay, so when did you find out you were pregnant with your first child?
It was January. It's in January of
2014.
2014.
Okay.
That took some time.
Okay.
It took us about 6 months to get to that point.
Okay.
After she had, decided to pull away from the birth control, and we started beginning to try. It didn't happen right away.
No.
Okay.
It took us about 6 months for her to even become pregnant. So when she got pregnant in that January of 2014, everything was fine. Everything was normal. Everything appeared, to be going well. And then it was like maybe shortly around mid-February where she had started experiencing like some pain.
Okay.
In her stomach area.
So how would you describe that pain, Anisha?
Oh, excruciating. Like I didn't know what was going on. I remember being at work and literally I couldn't even stand up. I was leaning over like my work table and I just couldn't move. It was like every time I tried to move, it was there. It was just like, I don't know, I can't really explain it, but it was just very, very painful. Like something was tightening and stabbing, at my
How far along were you pregnant at this point?
At that time, I think I was like 8 weeks.
8 weeks pregnant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was just painful. So it happened and that stayed for like maybe 20 minutes and then I was okay. Then it happened again the next day when I was at home and I couldn't move then, and then I was kind of telling Ronald about it. But I didn't think anything about it. I didn't think anything about like checking.
This is just the pain of pregnancy.
Yeah, because there's something called implantation. So it's where, the embryo, the baby, everything has to like attach to the uterus. So I kind of understood that there was some implantation pain associated with it. And of course, first time around, you don't know what that feels like. And even with my menstrual cycles before that, I never had cramps or pain. So I didn't know what it was.
Okay. All right. So tell us what happens. You continue. When do you notice that something isn't right, or when does your body let you know that something isn't right?
It was the end of February. It was pretty much the day before everything happened. I was at work at that time. I had my own bake shop, and I just felt something leave my body. I just felt something, and I was telling Ronald about it. And I was a little worried. And then I think I started having some spotting and we started just noticing some of the things that the doctor said, if you have some challenges, this is what you do. He was calming me down, trying to assure me that everything was fine. Everything's going to be okay. But the next day, the bleeding picked up.
Okay.
It was heavier. And so we called into the doctors and they said, well, it's totally up to you what you want to do. If you want to wait, see how things go, or do you want to come in? We can check you out, or do you want to go to the ER? I wanted immediate care, so we decided to go to the ER. And we ended up being there pretty much almost the whole day, just getting ultrasounds, doing blood work. They were checking my AGC levels, just making sure that those levels were still strong for pregnancy. So I just wanted to check and see what was going on, but at the same time, I have this bright red bleeding going on, and it's like
something's not
fluid.
right.
Yeah, something's
Right.
not right. But they kept telling us, "Oh, everything's fine, everything's fine," and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'm kind of scared, but I'm not trying to let him know that, you know. And he's, you know, being real good at making sure I'm okay, but also checking with the physicians, making sure they're taking care of me well.
Okay, so Ron, this is what Anisha's going through.
Mhm.
You're being reassuring. What were you thinking in your mind?
It was a nightmare. Even looking back on it now, it was a nightmare. Just to see my wife laying there, and they just come, like, you have all of the nurses and physicians, they coming in out of the room doing tests. Yeah, it was just, and it was like almost to a point where it was like very like
Invasive?
disrespectful,
Yeah.
disrespectful,
Right.
invasive, like she says. And yeah, I felt some type of way.
And you, as a man, did you
Yeah.
feel like there was like I have no control over
Exactly.
anything that's happening in this moment?
Exactly.
Here I am. I got money. I can, but there is nothing that I can do in this moment as a man, and I feel helpless in this moment. Rob, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I can relate to the situation. But that's why I want to ask, if you don't mind telling the audience what your ages are, because when my wife had her first miscarriage, she was 34. She was already at risk. And so for the benefit of our listeners who may be going through the same thing, or may be thinking that their age is a factor, because we know a woman's, when we say woman's time clock, they mean a woman's time clock. A man doesn't really have one. So what age were you when you suffered that
I
miscarriage?
was 29.
29. So you're young. So we ultimately find out that this first child is not going to survive. It ends in a miscarriage. What did you do, and how did you process? God, we were high school sweethearts. We waited. We got married. You know, we did everything that we were supposed to do as it relates to how you've told us to do. How did you guys process this?
Well, the first time, I would say I was devastated. I was in shock. And like how I kind of explained one time, that a lot of women, when that happens to them, they're trying to figure out, okay, well, if I get pregnant again right away, then it will be like I didn't lose the baby. But also, one thing that they do not prepare you for is at that time, they gave me medication. I went home, and then I just had to pass the baby on my own at home. So this is not like a cycle that I'm taking care of my body. It's like, this is a reminder of what has happened. And I really struggle with it, because we both were not, we didn't share with anybody at the time. So we're like holding his hand. We don't know to talk about it because people don't talk about it.
Okay, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to keep interjecting, but I could relate so much to your story. But there's some key things here that, because of my experience, I need to ask you for the benefit of our listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any family history of miscarriage? Like, did your mother have a miscarriage, or did your sisters have a miscarriage? Is there something in your family that had a miscarriage beforehand? Because my wife at the time when I was married, she suspected that she may have a miscarriage. All her sisters, she has three, she's the oldest of 5 kids. Her 2 younger sisters each had miscarriages on their first child, because at the time her mother, who was, I guess, she got in the 50s, whatever it is at the time, in the 1950s, it gave certain chemicals to women and whatnot. That affected the whole gene pool or the DNA system. So my question to you is, were you told, did your mother, your grandparents, anybody in your family tell you that it's a possibility, or did any of your siblings, if you have siblings, have a miscarriage? You know, so as a factor, as a measure of history, is what I'm asking about.
No, for me, no. My mother has 4 healthy children.
On the first time, first time,
4 live births.
You guys come from big families, right?
4 and 4.
4 and
I'm
4.
the only girl.
Okay.
But I will say my grandmother experienced stillbirths.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have those. But looking at the statistic that you shared with me, she was educating me on the process. She said that 1 in 4 pregnancies today end in miscarriage. So what we're talking about is not something that is so far few and far between. It seems like whenever people get pregnant, the child comes, but the reality of it is 25% of those children end up miscarried. Alma Colley says her daughter lost 2 babies and almost lost her rainbow baby. We're going to talk about that in just a second. She had to stay in the hospital around 2 months to save her rainbow baby. He is her only child. He is now 13 and a football player. Rose Davis, my goodness, people don't talk about it. I miscarried in college. We're certainly praying that you have been able to get the help that you need, Miss Davis. All right, so let's talk about this. We want to move to this next stage. So after this child is lost, you're going through the process. Were you guys still planning, or did this just kind of happen?
Each time we never plan, but we're married. We want children,
right?
So you're going to do the thing.
You're doing grown folk stuff, so you should produce, right?
You know? So we got pregnant with our rainbow baby, who is 7 now.
Okay, and I want you to explain because I almost brought the statement up. What does it mean, a rainbow baby?
A rainbow baby is a term or name given to a child that is born after the loss of a baby.
Okay. So after the loss or miscarriage, that next child that is delivered fully is considered a rainbow baby.
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Collier out there, who's one of our avid listeners, for educating us. All right, so now you have this rainbow baby, and it is a girl. Yes. And her name is Sinai.
Yes.
Is there any story to her name?
Yes.
Okay.
Her name is Sinai, spelled just like Mount Sinai. The story of her name is that for our second year of marriage, I had a dream that God told me to name my daughter, my firstborn, Sinai, that it was a girl. And I was like, okay. So I had this dream and didn't really think, too much about it until maybe a year or so later. I had the same dream, but it was a little bit more pronounced. It was stronger. And I just really felt God lead me to name her Sinai, and I just said, okay, I'll be obedient. I shared that with Ronald, and we just agreed that will be.
Well, Sinai is a place where God gave the promise.
Yeah, the covenant.
So it's beautiful, right? There's a covenant relationship that God has there.
Yeah.
So this is Sinai is the rainbow child. That's child number 2. Let's continue through this time. So the love is growing. The family has now been added. One additional to the family. What happens next?
Yeah, I would even just go back to say that I didn't even know I was pregnant with Sinai because I was still grieving our first baby very heavily. But again, my husband was really there to help us when it comes to faith. Because of our experience with loss, we decided to wait. We wanted to enjoy her. We know what it's like to lose a baby. We have her. Let's enjoy her. And her middle name is Olivia. And so I took it as a form of like extending the olive branch.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for, blessing us with her. But we waited a couple years and we decided to try again. And our third pregnancy, our third baby, we had another miscarriage.
Wow. So number 1 was a miscarriage. We have a rainbow child, Sinai. Then you're pregnant again a third time. How far from your rainbow child in this third pregnancy?
She was a little over 2 years old.
Okay, so she's about 2 years old. Perfect time to have another one added to the family. How do you deal at this point, number 2, in terms of your miscarriage? What are you thinking in your mind in terms of what's going on?
For me at that time, we both, was devastated. I was like, okay, well, what is going on? Because there's no history there. There's nothing wrong with me. I don't have any, I'm fairly healthy. Then also at that time, though, for myself, I ended up tucking my grief because my aunt passed away like the same day. So I kind of just turned my attention to helping my father with his process. So I'm kind of like double grieving, but Ronald's, again, he's there.
That's going to be my question, Ron. Okay, so this is your wife's second miscarriage. You're still playing football?
No, I was done.
Okay, at this time you're done playing football. So you're reestablishing yourself in your new place, new career, new identity as a man. Lose child number 2. What impact does this have on you emotionally and mentally?
I mean, it was very tough. I was able to deal with it. I was able to mask my feelings just to, be there for her. These things that was happening to us was really nothing new for me because I had seen it as a child. My mother, she had lost 5 children.
Okay.
Through stillbirth.
Your wife lost 5 children. Your mom lost 5 children. Wow.
She lost 5 children.
Wow.
She had three stillborns and 2 miscarriages.
Well, at any point, did you think maybe what was happening with your mother had something to play with what was going on in the situation here? Did that ever hit you? I mean,
it never crossed my mind.
Okay.
Because for the most part, like my family, they have been pretty healthy. And I was pretty healthy, so it didn't even cross my mind, that, I had an issue, or not even that my wife had an issue.
Okay.
It was just something that we couldn't explain. But yeah, like during that time, and as we talk some more, you'll see that each time we had a loss, there was something there additional that we had to deal with.
Okay. So let's talk about those challenges. So we've had 2 losses.
2.
Okay, now you find yourself pregnant a 3rd time. All right.
So this is fast forward. We're 9 months later, we're pregnant at that time. And of course, every time you get pregnant after losing a baby, you're kind of just like holding your breath. Like, we
don't want to tell anybody. We don't want to get too excited.
You want to wait till that 2nd trimester after that 12-13 week period, because it's considered the safe zone, right? And so I just knew in my spirit that it was a boy. And so one thing that I did was just remind myself to just praise my way through this. I was like, I'm just gonna, every time I see like spotting or if I feel a certain way, I'm just gonna praise my way through. I'm not gonna, get into fear or anything like that. And so I nicknamed him Judah.
Okay.
Judah means praise. And so unfortunately, November 1st, 2017, we lost Judah. And that one was really devastating. We right before we were heading into a doctor's appointment that morning to hear the baby's heartbeat, but I told Ron, I said, I feel like something's not right. I don't know what's going on, but we both just kind of laid there holding each other and crying because we just knew, we are spirit led, and so we just knew something was right. And we get to the doctor's appointment, you hear the heartbeat, and then the heartbeat faints, and then you get the news that the baby has passed.
Okay, and how long had you carried this particular child?
That's 10 weeks.
10 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, so this is something serious.
Yes, but what we find out with this one is that it's an ectopic pregnancy.
Okay, so
ectopic pregnancy is a pregnancy that's in the fallopian tube, and it absolutely cannot be a viable pregnancy. It cannot to grow to full term because it's not implanted in the proper place, and it is also fatal to the mother. So what we have to do was immediately rush over to one of the facilities, and I had to get these shots, and they're called methotrexate, which is a form of chemotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is the methotrexate stops any cells of the baby from continuing to grow, and my body has to now on its own start breaking down the baby within me. So I have to now go home and check for body parts and different things.
Wow.
And it's like my husband's there with me. He's holding me up as they're administering these shots, and he's looking in my eyes, and I'm looking at him, and I'm just crying because I lost the baby. This is baby number 3, but also because they tell me I have to get these chemo shots. So I'm like, what's going on
with my body?
So we're looking at each other, and I'm like, help, but he's like, I can't help you. So that right there was the time for me that I started really, my faith wavered my faith just dropped, because I was just like, God, like, we serve you, we pay tithes, offering, we serve in the church, we did everything that we knew to do by the books. It's like, what's going on?
Let's talk about this, because you knew that this was going to be a boy, and you had already picked out his name. His name was going to be Judah. You said, as we know, that Judah meant praise.
Mm-hmm.
In this particular situation, did we ever lose our ability to praise for a period of time?
I did.
Let's talk about that.
I did. I was really upset and I kind of felt like at that time it was like I had a David moment. It was like, well, God, you're the only person who could have done something, but you didn't do anything. But maybe you did. I don't know. I'm not God. I don't know what you see. Maybe you were keeping us from something. I don't know. I was going back and forth, but I just really felt like, wow, I did everything that they teach you to do in church. We prayed, we fasted, we praised, we did everything we feel like
church doesn't prepare you for this kind of loss.
No, it don't prepare you for it. But I was like, I feel like we did everything that the church they do, we did, and I still feel like I failed, like I got sucker punched again. And this time I'm having nightmares. I'm hallucinating. I'm experiencing anxiety. I'm depression. I had 2 bouts of like suicide ideation. I said, I don't want to be here no more. If this is what life is going to be, it just kept getting darker and deeper and darker. Because again, each time we leave the hospital or a doctor's appointment, there's no resources, nothing that I was given to say, here's a group, or here's someone to talk to about what you're experiencing.
So you were having these miscarriages. Now you're at miscarriage number 3, and you're not receiving any medical support, emotional support from any types of professionals. There's nowhere you can go to really get support for what you're going through. Did you think that you were the only person on the planet that was experiencing this type of thing? What did you do?
I feel like, yeah, you feel like you are the only one. You do feel like that because people do not talk about it. However, at that time, our pastors at the time, they share about, their experiences with loss, and they've come over to the house. We had meetings and things before. But for me, what I was struggling with, not really so much faith. It was faith because like my faith did dwindle, but I didn't know about the stages of grief and how I can be in all five at the same time and what that looked like.
Let's talk about those stages.
Okay.
The stages, because you've gone through these. So I know that there's anger.
There's anger, there's depression, there's bargaining, there's denial, isolation, and then there's also acceptance.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was angry, depressed,
feeling all kind of stuff.
Yeah, all of that is, and I felt like I was going crazy, and I was like, no, after a while, it's like, no, you're not crazy, you're grieving.
You're grieving.
Yeah.
And I think that what you said is so appropriate for anybody who's listening out there. When you lose somebody, your body goes into protection mode. And it may dump hormones and all kinds of, and being a pregnant woman, you already got hormones going crazy. Yeah. You're not going crazy, you're grieving. Ron, what are you doing? I mean, because the man's role is to protect the wife, protect the family. You're helpless in this moment.
I felt helpless.
And so share with us, how are you feeling from a man's perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I felt helpless because, this is like, the third time that this has happened. And now this time it was a little bit more serious because it was a different type of loss with the ectopic. And, there's nothing that, I can physically do to help my wife. I can't bring the babies back. I can't provide her, like counseling and therapy, because
you struggle too.
I'm just too. So it was rough. And this particular loss that we're talking about now, I think hit me the most because of the timing of it. Because she had carried this one the longest, so we had thought, that we were hitting.
We're in the clear,
and we were good. And then when we got the news, man, I just felt like somebody just poured me out. Like I was done. I was empty. But I was always taught. My parents, my father, always taught me to hold on to the things that's stable. Life is disasters. So whether that be work, whether that be your faith, family, whatever it is, hold on to those things and try to keep them steady. So what I did again was I'm just trying to maintain some level of normalcy.
Right.
So I'm just trying to keep us, in church, kind of keep us praying together, keep my work life steady, and just trying to keep things on track,
So you a part of you was trusting God, but you faking it till you can make your way out of this thing.
Man,
okay. And I think that people need to understand that sometimes it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just gotta praise God silently through a situation.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the end, right? There's no more. This has to be the end. Is there more to this story? Is there another pregnancy?
There's more.
Okay, what happens now?
So the next year, or maybe 8 months later, we got pregnant again.
This is pregnancy number 5.
This is pregnancy number 5.
Okay.
Yes. However, our 4th loss, it was a miscarriage very early. I would say 6 to 8, somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks. That time we kind of both were just like, okay, whatever. It kind of just went over our head. Just kind of dealt with it, a little bit. At that time, I'm still trying to just come back around from even losing our other baby because I'm still dealing with suicide ideation. And
right.
Just like, it was, really bad in our house. My husband had to like help me even, at night when I'm thinking I'm hearing things and stuff. It spilled over into other areas of your life.
Let me ask you this, because women who have lost children before that I've talked to, they say that they've heard the baby crying like after the loss, after the miscarriage. Did you have situations that were occurring like that?
No, I didn't have those situations, but what happened with me, I wasn't really able to mother Sanai the way that she should have been mothered because I didn't feel like a mother, even though I had her. And I was really, really, really depressed, and I just could not connect with her. I couldn't bond with her and play with her. I would watch Ronald like try to scoop in and like play with her, but she would still come back to me and want to play, and I would be there. I was there, but I wasn't emotionally and mentally present, to be there for her. So that's
which is understandable.
Yeah.
So family, I would imagine, would step in at this point and try to lend the support to what's going on. So how many pregnancies in total were there?
So altogether we had 6 pregnancies, 1 live birth, but our last and final pregnancy.
Number 5.
Yep, baby number 5. So at this time we're pregnant. I said I was going to wait till the end of August because I will be 12, 13 weeks at that time. I already know what the doctor's going to want. I have a standing HCG level appointment. I got this thing down now, and I said I'm not calling the doctors until the end of August. Well, it just so happened earlier August, I had some pain that felt similar to the ectopic. We went to the ER, and because of that, I had to follow up with my doctor, and I didn't want to because that wasn't part of my plan. But I'm glad I did, because then the doctor told me to come in the end of August, and we will just keep monitoring and see what was going on. So my body started to go through the motions of a miscarriage with the bleeding and everything. But when we did go in to see the doctor, again, we're into the 2nd trimester now, and we get there and they do an ultrasound, and then they do a vaginal ultrasound and turn on the monitor. I already think that, I lost the baby because of everything that was happening. However, they turn on the monitor and the baby is still alive.
Wow.
There's a heartbeat.
Okay.
However, she kind of leaves out the room. We're looking like, okay, well, what's going on? She comes back in and she said, "Are you in pain? Do you feel anything? Are you okay?" I said, "No, I'm a little tired, more than I have been." And as she begins to continue to measure things, she sees that my tube is like erupting. And so she gets on the phone, call a doctor. Luckily, he's already at the OR. He gets on the phone with me. He says, "You have less than an hour to be in surgery." Unfortunately, because it's another ectopic, surprisingly, the baby is growing as it should, but in this tube, we don't even know how that was still possible. But he said he's going to have to take the tube out, and that's where the baby was at. So unfortunately, I have to lose the baby also. Don't go anywhere. Come right here. You have to be in surgery, or it's going to be you and the baby.
So now this prevents you from having future births.
Well, there's 2 fallopian tubes.
Right.
So as long as the other tube is still working, then you can.
Okay. So my question is, 5 miscarriages, a rainbow child, which the rainbow becomes more colorful with each loss, I would imagine. Where are you all if God brings this to pass? How are you coping with all of this? And I think that this brings us to keys of hope, because what you guys recognize that there was no support for what you guys were doing.
Absolutely.
So how did keys of hope come into the situation?
Well, at that time, from waking up from surgery, I just was like, "God, I'm tired. What do you want from me? Like, what do you want?" And I just turned myself over to him. I said, "Tell me what you want." So much happened though before he told us what he wanted from us. Like, our marriage began to suffer really, really bad at that time. But I was able to kind of just like speak to Ronald about what to do, how to get us back on track. Again, we were like 2 ships in the night. We couldn't help one another. So we go to a new church, and it was just so many different things that happened. But throughout this journey, I was always journaling and writing down about, I wish there was support. I wish there were walks for, families who experience this, because I would go out and find my community. I was looking for a community.
Right.
And so months later, I went to Ronald and said, "Hey, I really feel like God is putting on my heart to help the other families in the community who've experienced pregnancy loss or who struggle like us with secondary infertility. And I just really want to do something for them, but I don't know what to do." So I saw a post online, and it's almost something that's coming full circle because we're actually hosting an event next month. But I saw a similar event on social media, and I kept going to it and asking God, why doesn't something like this exist? And he said, "It's because I have yet to create it."
Wow.
And I was just like, how am I going to help? How am I going to help?
I'm
somebody?
grieving, guys.
I'm grieving.
Right.
you know, we trying to repair our marriage. It's like, we're not in the right space to help anybody. What do you want me to do? But literally, he downloaded every detail from the name, everything. Our last baby, we nicknamed named Hope. Right. And so Keys of Hope, but it's more so he had me focusing on helping other families in this region because they're, you know, Keys of Hope is a solution to a problem in the community. There's no resources for families who've experienced pregnancy and infant loss or struggle with infertility. And it's like, how do you get back to living a life of hope and faith and expectancy after you've gone through loss? So it's just like on my journey of grieving, how do I get back to knowing that the sun is going to shine again, that I can experience blessings and I don't have to keep living life?
Okay, I got to stop you. I got to ask you. I want you to answer that question. How do you get back to a life of hope, that the sun is going to shine again, that this despair won't last forever, that there truly is a brighter day on the horizon? How do you do it?
For me, it was more so it's one day at a time, because even still to this day, 5 years post, you know, losing hope, I still have to, you know, work through days of like depression or anxiety and things like that. But it's one day at a time. It's actually also for us, we went to therapy. We found a therapist. We went together. We went individually. It's just always finding encouragement every day. I'm looking for encouragement and just placing myself in positive environments and with people who are showing up to support me when it comes to, you know, what I've gone through.
So Ron, I gotta ask this question. Seeing your wife, and I'm imagining at this point you feel like you're losing your wife at some times. How do you keep it all together? How do you continue to manage this storm and really, you know, say, hey, okay, I believe that tomorrow is going to get better? What did you do to bargain or to get through this particular situation?
Yeah, it's going back to what I was saying earlier, you know, about, you know, those things that was instilled in me as a child, about holding on to those things that's stable, you know, when life is a storm. So that's pretty much what I did. And I just kind of set myself aside and just made sure that she was all right, because there was a struggle there for her for a long period of time. So that was my focus, you know, just making sure that Anisha had what she needed, you know, whether it was emotionally, physically, mentally, and what did that look like? I mean, we, like she said, we went to therapy together. We continue to, you know, pray together. We forced ourselves to continue to go to church and try to hear, you know, the word of God so we can continue to be fed spiritually. So it was a process.
And that's funny. And I'm glad to hear you say this, because so many times there's so much attention put on the woman and they don't realize that the man suffers in that loss as well. But what I love is that you can continue to try to hear it, because there's sometimes you're like, I don't want nobody throwing no scriptures at me. I ain't trying to hear it. I ain't trying to hear that. Absolutely. Keys of Hope. How can people get involved with what you're doing? You got an event coming up. We got just a couple of minutes. Share with them how they can connect with you all and Keys of Hope.
Okay, well, Keys of Hope is a 12-week program, and it's for families who've experienced pregnancy, child loss, infant loss, or who struggles with infertility. You can go to keysofhopefoundation.com. There you can register. We are currently in a session right now, but you can join anytime. But also next month, October, is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. And on October 15th, for Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day, we're hosting a community candlelight and visual for families who've experienced loss with their families to come to have a space to remember and honor our babies in heaven. So it's at the Saginaw Township Soccer Complex on the 15th from 6 to 8, but you can register for free at keysofhopefoundation.com. We would love to see anyone, you know, just come out.
I certainly thank you guys for this time and attention. I was excited about sharing your story because I know your story is going to heal so many individuals. I want to thank you and our content director, Yvonne Daniels, for making this happen. Rob, thank you for being over there. That's absolutely right. Keys of Hope. Thank you guys for tuning in this week. We hope to see you next week with more of Straight Talk. God bless you all. Grace and peace.
You've been listening to Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen.